So my name's Jacques Malone, and I work as a specialist sports psychology consultant with the riders, and I have a business called Ahead for Horses. I work with riders from grassroots right up to 5-star. I still ride myself. I'm 45 now, and so I'm coming down a bit, but I still rode in the Young Horse 1-Star International at Bolesworth last year. And like Sinead, I went and rode out for Willie Mullins this year and actually got to ride in the mornings at Cheltenham Festival, which was unbelievable. I have a horse at home and I have a pony, which my son does pony club with, and I am very, very much focused on, for so long, and anyone that grew up riding here will know, that when we teach people to ride, we tell them what to do with their body. That's it. Heels down. Anyone? Thumbs on top, shoulders up, inside leg to outside leg. Coming down to a fence, sit still, sit tight. Nobody talks to you about what is going through your mind. Oh my God, I'm on the wrong stride. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm not quite sure. There we go. Right? Yet, riding is so much what is going on in your head. So much your connection to your horse. So much, what is your preparation like? What is your high performance lifestyle like? That all helps so much. But until recently, we didn't talk about it. We were just trained. Heels down, shoulders up, thumbs on top. And if you do showing, smile.
Oh, I can't wait to ask you some questions in a minute. Kirsty, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Kirsty McCann. I am the commercial manager of ARC Equine and director of House Stud. So I've been involved in horses for a very, very long time, and my primary, I suppose, background would have been in veterinary nursing. So I was in a very fortunate position just 3 years ago to start up ARC Equine with Richard Young, and we've been going from strength to strength, and we're now in export markets, so it's really exciting. So something slightly different. We're from the commercial side of things in the industry.
May have done a lot of work with Kirsty last year, so I have a lot of inside information. Can't wait to ask questions as well. Next up, we have Therese. Therese, introduce yourself.
My name is Therese. I am a mum of 4 and the owner of EquiEd. So EquiEd provide educational courses on everything from equine first aid, owner courses to professional courses in practitioner and equine therapy. We have racehorse specific courses as well. And just this year, we are starting to branch out. So we started in 2018 and we are pushing into Scotland, New Zealand and Canada this year.
Canada?
Yeah.
Exciting. Sonya?
Hello, I am Sonya McAleer. I am the founder of the Irish Equestrian Mental Health Project. I am also a show jumper and an equestrian coach. I have been involved in horses for most of my life, and I set up the charity around 3 years ago. We were talking about this morning, about 3 years ago this month, and it is my baby, and I try to provide people with the tools to have good mental health and well-being, off the back of working with clients that have struggled with their own mental health and off the back of my own mental health struggles. So I just strive every day to try and help people feel good within themselves and to be confident and have good mental health.
I love it. When we were putting this panel together and when I realised I'd have the privilege of chatting with these wonderful ladies, I think it was the depth of experience that they all have. And I wanted to create questions that would go in silos to each individual, but also ask some generic questions as well. So, Jacques, I'm going to come back to you. The mindset of equestrians, how does it work? And where can it improve? It's so diverse, but I'll leave you go because you'll know more than me on this.
I think the important thing to remember when we talk about any group of people, whether that's equestrians or whether that's anyone else, is that the people first.
Yeah.
Okay? Every single person in this room, every single person that there is in the world goes through their own set of challenges, their own problems, their own personal issues. And that's the number one thing to remember, that when you ride, you're not just a rider, you're a person who rides. And so for me, when you get onto a horse, your central nervous system is basically locking into them. They're intuitive creatures, they're flight animals, they look to the herd, they look to take the lead. So actually it's really, really important. Your mental health, your well-being is really important to how much you can achieve on the back of a horse. And I think that there are, what Sonya's done, and I've worked with Sonya on some clinics, and we've done some sort of confidence clinics for her, is that to give people the opportunity to realise that who you are and outside of the saddle is so important with what you bring to the saddle. And for some people, we use horses in therapy. So for some people, just being around horses is enough. They don't even need to be on horses.
How consciously aware do equestrians need to be of the energy that they radiate, of the habits of the behaviours that they're developing? I see a lot of times, like, I'm in the equine industry not for horses, I'm in it because I love the people in it, the relentless pursuit, the non-stop, it's a lifestyle. But I also think that a lot of equestrians get in their own way. They have these aspirations, and then I'm going, and Sinead said it earlier, the only person stopping you hitting that goal is fundamentally you. How does that work, or how do you see that as a performance coach, as somebody who deals with people to help them move up the ladder or move up the levels?
So again, as equestrians, we're people first, and even when I'd hear people say, "Oh, they got it. They look at their surname, their family's got it, or they've got money, or they've got whatever." We hear it about Zara Tyndall riding this week. She's riding a Badminton. That horse doesn't go around Badminton itself. Doesn't matter that her uncle is the king, right? but the equestrian industry can be very simplistic like that. Actually, having a surname, being expected to run on the legacy or the mantle or things, can be a lot of pressure to someone as well. So I think that in the equestrian industry as a whole, we don't try enough to see it through other people's eyes. We're very quick to assume, and we're very quick to judge, and we're very quick to say, well, they did that because.
So what should we be doing to not do that then?
Every single person in the arena is a person first and has the chance to do whatever it is they can do in the arena. And yes, some people are lucky, they get ready-made, expensive horses, but we're so lucky in Ireland because there is that opportunity. We do go from grassroots right up to 5-star. If you're good enough and you've got the horsepower and the finances to jump at 150, you can. If not, you can join a riding club quite low cost, and you can go and you can compete at 70. We do cater for everyone.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think, when I listened to the earlier panel, and one of the young ladies, I think it was Aoife,
I don't know,
was saying, there's no trainer, I don't get the opportunity to do this. What I would say to them is, take action. I didn't have money when I was little to go out and get riding lessons. Not little, because I was older. I used to muck out 22 boxes on a Saturday, 22 boxes on a Sunday for a dressage Grand Prix rider called Sarah Big. And in return for 44 boxes, I used to cycle there. I don't want to sound like my dad, but I used to cycle there for 44 boxes. Do you know what I got in return?
A training. Yeah, riding.
45 minutes on her Grand Prix horse in a lesson. Because the fact that I had money, or no money, wasn't going to stop me. And the fact that I didn't have access to a dressage horse wasn't going to stop me. That, when you talk about mindset, mental attitude, mental performance, take action. You can take action, and we have this mindset of, I don't have enough money, therefore I can't do it. I don't have enough experience, therefore I can't do it. I don't have enough things. Sinead had brought up earlier, the access for learning that we have now in so many different ways to so many high-profile riders. We used to be able to buy Horse and Hound once a week, and again, I'm sounding old, but that's where you could get your information, you get the sound bites. Now you have access to every single top rider telling you how they ride, how they prepare their horses, how they prepare their mindset, a lot of them. You have it, it's free. If you have no money, go and offer your services in return for what you want. There is a staff shortage in the equine industry. Equitas and the grassroots are hugely aware of it. You cover it all the time. So there's this shortage for staff, and then there's people that are saying, I want to get training, and it's the trainers that are short of the staff.
It's where
so
you
we're
could
missing the
probably
bridge.
bring back the old the barter economy, you know?
And I'm not talking about abusing people or working them for loads of hours. 44 boxes for 45 minutes lesson was probably a little bit harsh, right? Let's be honest. I'm not going back to that. And I don't want to cycle there, right? Because the roads are too dangerous now too. But actually, most people are short of staff, short of riders. You might even get the chance to exercise a very quiet but really good horse that you never get the chance to sit on. But you have to take action. You have to ask. And you have to go out and get it.
I love that. Kirsty, I'm going to come over to you. You talk a lot in ARC Equine about being solutions focused and solutions oriented. A big part of what you do is bringing in solutions from around the world that solve niche problems or nuances for customers, clients. Why did you want to get involved in this in ARC? I know your background, your story, etc. Tell us a little bit about that in the journey.
My background was pretty much the same there. I started by cycling to a riding school and getting riding lessons in exchange for working, and then going through that, finally got my first horse after I pestered my parents for long enough. Got into show jumping, left my last exam for my leaving cert, went straight to the airport to go work for a show jumper in England, and did that, came back, and then got into racing. And then from that went into veterinary, then got into nutrition. I really wanted to bring what I had learned from the veterinary side into what we're doing now. I joke when I turn around, it's not a joke, but I say when I'm dealing with some of my clients, it's like therapy at the same time, because you're taking on board their problems. So they're contacting you saying, my horse is doing this, or my yearlings look like this, or my mares are doing this, or whatever, and you go out and you try and solve their problems. But in the same time, I like to think that maybe we're taking a little bit of the burden off them as well. I think that there's, you know, it was mentioned earlier about the racing community and how much support there is within the racing community. I think an area that everybody forgets about is breeding. And I've spoken to you about it before, Shane, where I know the pressures that riders, producers, trainers are under, but I equally know the pressures breeders are under. And I think that's an area of the community we can't forget about. Especially,
you'll be happy, I'll interrupt you, and I won't go too far. We're making an announcement between 3 and 3:15. I may have made a phone call yesterday, Merv was with me, to somebody in the front row here. And at that announcement, I'll tell you a little bit more, but please continue. It will be aligning to breeding. You were the initial muse for them when we had the chat yesterday.
Yeah, so there's nothing better in my job than seeing something work, whether it's helping somebody with a stallion with fertility issues, or helping a rider with a problem, or, you know, helping a breeder or whatever. But I think that while we are a commercial entity, there is a huge amount. I always say to the guys, I have 2 wonderful fellas who work for me, and I say to them, as soon as they start the job, be ready to take on board other people's problems, because that's what this is going to be. It's not just about selling product, it's about solving problems for people so that they get the best return on their investment. We're not here to flog, we're here to help.
Yeah, we've always been human-centric in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that even stretches into our education pieces. We do a lot around education and trying to help people. But I like the fact that we're on the list. When someone has a problem, they'll pick it up their phone and they'll ring us and say... That's actually something we offer, isn't it? Yeah. Free consultations. Will you speak to our vet? Will you speak to our farrier? Will you do whatever? Just please tick that box for us. And, you know... And this is, you know, and it is my kind of thing that with having the stud farm as well for the last, since we launched it, we're half... Well, so tell us, set the scene for that, so, because I know the background, but the audience won't know the background. You're inside an ARC, you're after, let's say, moving up the ladder, you're doing really well, the relationship building, the human-centric side, like we've said, and then you have, and Richard have an idea. So... I have the greatest boss in the world, and I'm not afraid to say it to his face or behind his back, but he's as mad as a box of frogs. And he's fairly mad, to be fair. He can come out with anything. He pulled me aside one day and he said, I've had a little idea. And you're like, okay, you might want to sit down for it. Okay. There's a farm has come up for sale. I'm thinking about buying it, but I'm only going to do it if you're on board. And I said, right, we'll look at it. And the minute we drove in the gates, I was sold on it. We took the keys, not Christmas just gone, the Christmas before, the week before Christmas. I got a manager in it the first week in January, and we started foaling the end of February. We foaled 16 mares. We did sales prep. I'm delighted to say we prepped for Amanda from Barberstown. We foaled for her as well. And this year we've doubled our numbers on foaling. It's going really well, but what that has opened up is a whole other level of understanding within what we are now offering, because we understand the challenges people are under. We understand what they face. We started payment plans for certain things. We started looking at how can we help people. I was going to ask you that. So
when you integrate ARC Equine, when you integrate the veterinary side of it, and you integrate Birthhouse Stud, how does that allow you to enable change, whether it's the people you're meeting, you're dealing with, or the solutions you're trying to provide?
I think it's because we understand it now. I have to look at the bills. I have to look at what's coming in through on the invoices. And we really, really I've always had horses, so I always know the expense that's involved. And coming from the veterinary side, I know the expense that's involved in that. But there's nothing quite like having that invoice coming in from the vets every month, or from the feed company, or for the hay or for the straw, for you to go, right, now I understand truly what my customers and my clients are going through. So how can we do that? We are about to launch a rebate scheme. We're taking what we know, our parent company is a veterinary pharmaceutical company. We're very used to doing rebates. We want to be able to help our customers cope with what they have to do, and reward them for being in business with us. So,
yeah, absolutely love that. Therese, got to come over to you. Steve Jobs, one of my idols, always said the best form of marketing is education. Tell us a little about the backdrop and the story, the pathway to creating EquiEd, and a bit about the vision for the future, because I want to talk a bit about that.
So I suppose the idea was born from, I didn't come from a horsey family. I was a townie. I had no brothers or sisters, so my mother was horrified when I wanted to be involved with horses. I got the bug, I'd say when I was about 5 years of age, I started lessons, and they caved when I was about 12 and got me a pony. Very working class family. My dad was a welder, my mum worked in retail, and they had to work really hard for me to be able to do what I wanted to do. When it came to kind of leaving cert and all that stuff, I had no interest doing, mum was trying to get me to be a teacher, or, I had no interest going through that side of it. So I actually went and studied physiotherapy for humans, because at the time there was no equine physiotherapy, or animal physiotherapy wasn't a thing then. So I went and studied physiotherapy for humans, and the day that I finished was the last day I used it, because I had no interest working with humans.
Just tick the box.
In any capacity. So I went straight over to the UK, and then I was really lucky. I got a few lucky breaks. I worked with a few trainers over there and came back. I studied different courses there, and I've been working with them for 16 years in this capacity. And then in 2018, I had my second child, and I was sitting at home. She was a couple of weeks old, and I just said, this is, when you have extra time on your hand, I'm certainly not comfortable with being comfortable, so it doesn't suit me not being busy. And when I looked into everything, I just knew that there wasn't enough options for owners, stable staff. I suppose racing is probably my main draw in equine, but there wasn't a lot of options, and a lot of friends were stable staff, and they get to a part where it's quite stagnant, where they feel like they can't go any further. And I just thought there was so much to learn, and so much we didn't know. So I decided to start EquiEd, and we started with owners courses and one-day certified courses in equine first aid and colic and gut health, because as an option to kind of give you an idea why we did that, like as horse owners, we all would have been faced with colic, or that word colic at one time. But what used to
say the word no, but we're good.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
But what used to shock me was no one ever used to ask what type of colic. So my thinking on that was no one asked what type of colic, because they didn't realise that colic was actually an umbrella term and not just an issue. So it was that kind of thought process that started it. And honestly, since it started, it's just snowballed. And
do you think that the industry at times is afraid of education?
Yeah.
I know you've had a lot of pushback. Me and you've had multiple chats around dissections, other things. I mean, me and Mer went over and shot some cool content, really just to be present and to understand what you were going through. But do you think at times it's afraid? And is it because we want to go backwards and not forwards, or is it because
I don't think it's we want to go backwards and not forwards. I think we're only comfortable going forwards with what we know.
Fair.
And we don't know everything, and it's always my prerogative that it's better to have the questions than all the answers. Yeah. And I mean, in general terms, the education has been received very welcoming, like from all, facets of the industry. And as Zoe chatted earlier on about HRI giving financial supports to stable staff, our courses are one of those courses that are approved for that financial aid, but the dissection was a whole different ball game because it had never been done before. And
people are always afraid of stuff that's never been done before. Until it's done.
And like Kirsty, you said your boss is as mad as a box of frogs. I'm sure the girls that work with me think the same about me, but don't say it.
I'll tell you, I don't work with you, and I'll tell you you're mad
as
a box of frogs.
I know they think it, but definitely don't say it. But I'm sure they thought I was nuts when I went to them. I think it was March last year, and I said I want to have an equine dissection, and every jaw hit the floor. And it had never been done in Ireland, and that was crazy to me because I can't understand how it's not beneficial for people to see what's under the hood, and you gain a whole new respect when you do see it. I had to travel to Poland and different locations to do them, so I decided I was going to do one here. So I flew a lady over from New Zealand that specialises in it. And we had our first one in November, and then we had two just April gone.
Yeah, the one in November was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
By the way, again, Steve Jobs, people are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Paint a little picture for me before we move on to Sonya. What's the vision for the future with EquiEd?
Just, I won't get comfortable.
You're never comfortable.
I'm never comfortable.
Never comfortable,
as soon as I have a grasp on something, I'm ready to... and I suppose that's what pushing out into Scotland and, New Zealand and Canada has been, is that, we're kind of ready to move on now, as in push out, and we have it running in a way that we can do it. We have students all over the world now. We have people that come from Dubai, Qatar, we have students in Egypt. So the hunger is there for the education, and
world domination.
We're going to provide it if we can.
I love it. Yeah. Sonya, 3 years ago, we had a wonderful breakfast this morning. 3 years ago, you set up the Irish Equestrian Mental Health Project. The only, as far as I see, the only other show in town other than the Hay campaign. And even when we set that up with Shane Rooney, I'd heard so much about what you've done and why you were doing it, etc. Set the scene for people. Why was this set up? Why was this needed? And why was it important to you?
I suppose... By the way, all the best people are mad as a box of frogs.
100%, Jen. Definitely.
My brain's weird.
There's loads of people just sticking up their hands going, we're all mad.
Anybody that works with me enough knows that my brain is weird. But I came home 3 years ago and I felt a shift within me, that I needed to do something within the sport for mental health. I didn't really know what I wanted to do because there was nothing in the sport, and I think that's, there was absolutely nothing. I came off the back of my own mental health was really, really severely bad in 2016. I worked in a corporate job, was really good at the job, but absolutely miserable, and got headhunted by another company and thought, right, I'm going to make a change. I'm miserable in my job. It wasn't my job, it was me. I was actually fully in depression, going to work in the morning, coming home in the evening, putting my pajamas on, rewatching like familiar TV shows like Friends and things like that, because it was familiar and it wasn't stress. Hid myself away, quite an outgoing social person before this, hid myself away, hid a lot of that from my partner at that time. Moved into the new job and my world came crashing down around me. I couldn't get out of bed. I had to be monitored basically to make sure that I was going to be there. Morning, and talking about how suicidal I was is only something that I've got more comfortable with over the last probably year and a half, the more I be on stage and talk about it, because I couldn't fully accept it or understand it. And I kind of just coasted along from 2016, using the horses to kind of make me feel better, and being out in nature, that helped massively, but I never really addressed what the issues were.
Can I ask you, like, when you look at the stuff you've done in the equine industry, the classes you've done, the people you've helped, what are the things you see most of? Like when you look at the mindset of equestrians or people who may be coming in struggling and go out to the Irish Equestrian Mental Health Project for support in some way, what are the key things they're asking you to support on or to give help with?
People don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
People are worried so much about what everybody else fucking thinks of them. I know, but I know I asked the question. It was me that asked about swearing, by the way.
You can fucking curse. It's okay.
But people are too worried about what everybody else thinks of them. I have got to the point now where I am so solid within myself as a person because I've done all the work. I've went and I have done the self-development. I'm continuing to work on myself and grow as a person. But because I didn't believe in myself for so long, walking into the ring on my horse, I was always worried about what other people thought about my riding. I was so nervous. I used to throw up off the side of the pony before I went into the ring. I was on Irish teams and stuff in ponies. Like, I was at a level, but I was throwing up before I went into the ring. And I just didn't believe in my ability. And I see people, I suppose, that I see coaching and coming in through the doors of the charity, not believing in themselves, but not knowing where to get help. This is the biggest thing. Or people are concerned that they're going to be judged if they say they've got mental health issues. I know that people have come in my door and they're like, for counselling, because we offer that, worried that we're going to plaster it around social media that they're coming in for counselling. And I'm like,
but also, even if it was, the stigma needs to change.
Yeah.
If you have something wrong with your teeth, you go to the dentist. If you have something wrong with your body, you go to the doctor, the hospital. Your mind is more important, I would say, in the first two.
Yeah.
So why aren't we publicly talking about that?
What we think is it can go top to bottom and bottom 100%. To top. Everything's linked through our nervous system, and you have to be fit to look after your mind, but you have to be comfortable enough to ask for help. It took me falling to pieces to get a bit of help, but I didn't get help really. I went to the doctor and I mentioned that I thought I was depressed, and it was the first time I'd ever said it. First time I'd ever thought it. It obviously was there, but my subconscious had buried it so badly. And it was the first time I'd vocally said it, and the doctor ignored me completely. He never took me on. So for somebody who had just realised themselves that they were depressed, that was the biggest blow. And I remember the next day, I just shut down. I couldn't function. My mum and dad, I told them, I was like, look, I think I'm depressed. And their response was, yeah, we thought you were, but we didn't know what to do.
So what have you done then to think about the evolution of that and a never-ending improvement? What have you done then to go from that to where you are now, to go from that depression, to go from that potentially anxiety or how you were feeling, even the suicide part like we talked about this morning, to come in now where you're going, I'm launching the Irish Equestrian Mental Health Project and I'm going to help others, I'm going to be an advocate for change here?
I think what happened 3 years ago was that shift, and I talked to you this morning about it. It was a shift within me where I threw a bit of a grenade into my life and called my wedding off and walked away from 7 years. I'm looking at Sinead because you talked about your marriage. Walked away from a 7-year relationship, knew there was a shift within me that I was built for something bigger. And I could see all these issues in the industry that I was fully working in, involved in as my hobby. Horses and being around horses is 100% of my life. I could see all these issues and I was like, I want to do something. I want to stop bullying. I want to stop people being abused in the system. I want people to feel good within themselves. So the charity was born, and within that birth of that, I suppose what I did was go, why did I become depressed? So I went, right, I need to figure me out. I need to see, where did that come from? Because I never had dealt with it before. My mum has suffered with depression over the years, but I never understood it. And until you have it, till you go through it,
we chatted about this this morning.
You don't understand it. I had no understanding of it. I had no sympathy towards it, and I have no problem saying that because I hadn't lived it. I spent the last 3 years building the charity and helping other people, but within that it's been a journey of self-discovery for me and giving myself the tools so that I can be the best version of myself. But I now know that if somebody comes to me and says, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, and I'll go, oh, do you know what? I think this will help you. And it's just arming myself with the tools. But it was, to go into that in the industry because there was nothing else, was Look, and I still will refer to it that I am this wee small person from Oma, and I haven't.
I'm going to come back to you on this, right? Because I have one last question for Ollie. I'm getting thumbs and hands up to tell me I'm late, and I should finish up now, but I haven't gotten in trouble yet today, and I always get in trouble at least once. So, Tom, you can give out to me afterwards. I kept Myrna is laughing too. Wouldn't be like me not to get in trouble at some stage. When we were putting together this panel, myself, Myrna and Sarah sat down and we had a chat, and we identified the 4V: passion, purpose, your drive, the way you look at the world. I wanted to ask you, aligning to the pathway that you're on, what is the motivational factor that pushes you towards helping people with change? Because that's what fundamentally the 4V are doing. You're change makers. You're the current change makers, all in different verticals or etc. What is your motivating factor and your drive that makes you do that? Because I would love if more, and the whole point of the event is to get the industry collaborating, communicating and understanding how we can do it together. That's the epitome of why we wanted to build this conference. So, Jacques, I'll start with you.
So, in the same way that you're avoiding them waving their hands and ignoring them, I'm going to ignore that question and just go back to the mad as a box of frogs. They're crazy. They do everything. I am on the British Show Jumping Committee for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. And it's something none of us paid, because I know that a lot of charity work here is paid.
Yeah.
I am so passionate about neurodiversity. Anyone that knows me, you know that I'm neurodivergent. Anyone that hasn't met me yet, you will within 3 minutes of meeting me. So I am so passionate about this. One of the things that needs to change, the busy brain, the neurodivergent brain. They're not mad. They're not mad as a box of frogs. They don't have anything wrong with them. They are just differently wired. And that is the one thing that all of us sat here can straight away do. If your brain is differently wired, we shouldn't be calling it out as anything negative. We should be saying, because their brain is differently wired, they might have 100 ideas at a time. And only one of those ideas, I think Sinead Cassidy referred to it earlier, not every idea she ever had worked. And I'm not saying that Sinead is neurodivergent, right? But we shouldn't be putting a negative stigmatism on something because somebody's brain is different.
I absolutely fucking love that answer. Yeah. Fucking love it. Kirsty?
What was the original question, Shay?
Your passion and purpose. You're all change makers on stage. You're all on the pathway. Where's your motivation, your passion and drive coming to be the change maker that you are?
My daughter. That's it. I want her to get into this industry. I want her to get into a nice industry. When I was younger and we started doing Pony Club and everything, it was such a happy place. I saw it become a less happy place, and I want her to go into a happy place and enjoy her ponies. So that's it, really, and everything I do is for her.
I love that as well. Therese?
I feel bad now because I wasn't going to say my kids.
You don't have to. It's already been taken. No backsies.
I haven't even mentioned my kids, so I feel worse.
No backsies. Can't do it.
Well, my kids. And
neurodivergent people.
Yeah. No, look, I suppose my passion and my drive is always behind welfare as well. And, you know, I'm such a big pusher and believer on you don't have to be anti, you know, equestrian sport to be pro-welfare. And, you know, you don't have to be anti-racing to be pro-welfare. And that's a message that, you know, I try to put out as much as I can. Like, education is a passport. And,
absolutely.
You know, if you invest in education, you're going to get the best payoff of any, you know, investment you make. And I think it's one of the best things that, you know, I still go away and do courses in CPD, and I'm addicted to learning and learning new things. And I think it's a gift that we all have. And, you know, if we want change and we want real sustainable change, habits have to change, thought processes have to change. And the most effective way to do that is through education.
Wait until we get you playing with AI and not artificial insemination. Sonya, over to you.
I suppose my drive will always be that I just don't want people to feel how I felt. Yeah. And I love cheerleading people. I love to see people doing well. Definitely. And unfortunately, in our sport, it's sometimes not there. You know, and I want that to change. So that's always going to be my driving force, that everybody is there within their own right, no matter what level they are, and everybody has a right to be there. We're all there because we love horses. But it should be always that everyone is human first, as you said, you know, and everybody just has wellness within, but it has to come from all the top parts of the sport. Like, that's why I love the racing end is so ahead of all the rest of the sport, because the support system's there. So I just would love to see a support network through all ends.
I love it. Change is coming. Folks, I could talk with these ladies all evening, but we have more guests to get on. Jacques, Kirsty, Therese, Sonya, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you up here.